One man, over 60 battles, a continent on its knees. He rose from a mocked outsider on a tiny island to Emperor of France. Then he lost everything in the snow. So how does the most brilliant military mind in history destroy the very empire he built? Napoleon Bonaparte was born in 1769 on the island of Corsica, just 1 year after France annexed it. That timing mattered. It made him French by paperwork, not by identity. At military school in France, he was mocked for his accent, his poverty, and his background. The other boys called him the foreigner, but while they laughed, he studied military strategy, history, geography, mathematics. He consumed everything. By the age of 16, he held a commission as an artillery officer. By 24, he was a general. The foreigner was just getting started. France in the 1790s was chaos. The revolution had shattered the old order. The country was at war with most of Europe and losing. Napoleon saw opportunity. In 1796, he took command of the French army in northern Italy. They were underfed, demoralized, and outgunned. He turned them into a weapon. His method was simple and devastating: speed. Napoleon moved armies faster than anyone believed possible, striking before enemies could coordinate, splitting their forces, destroying them piece by piece. In just over a year, he defeated 4 separate Austrian armies in Italy alone. By 1799, Europe was not just watching, it was afraid. So what did he do with that fear? He didn't just keep conquering, he started building. In 1804, Napoleon crowned himself Emperor of France, and in doing so became the most powerful man on earth. But here's what separates him from every other conqueror in history. He was also a reformer. The Napoleonic Code replaced centuries of fragmented medieval law with one unified legal system. It guaranteed equality before the law, religious freedom, and the right to private property. No exceptions for birth or title. That code still forms the legal foundation of nations across Europe, Latin America, and beyond. 2 centuries later, he overhauled the education system from the ground up. He established the Bank of France. He built roads, modernized cities, and created a government that promoted men based on ability, not bloodline. At its peak, the French Empire controlled or influenced most of continental Europe. He had done in a decade what it took Rome centuries to build. But empires have a way of breaking the men who build them. Napoleon's first critical error was the continental system, a total trade blockade designed to economically strangle Britain. It didn't work, and it created enemies out of allies who depended on British trade to survive. Then came the decision that sealed his fate. In 1812, Napoleon invaded Russia with the largest army Europe had ever assembled, over 600,000 soldiers. Russia refused to fight him conventionally. Instead, they retreated, and as they withdrew, they burned everything behind them. Crops, villages, entire cities. They left nothing. Napoleon reached Moscow to find it abandoned and on fire. He waited for a peace offer. It never came. The retreat destroyed him. Frostbite, starvation, ambushes at every turn. Over 400,000 soldiers never came home. The myth of Napoleon's invincibility died with them. Europe united. For the first time, Prussia, Austria, Russia, and Britain coordinated against a single enemy. In 1814, Napoleon abdicated, exiled to the island of Elba. He escaped 10 months later, raised a new army, marched back to Paris. For 100 days, it looked like Napoleon was back. Then came Waterloo. On June 18, 1815, British and Prussian forces crushed the French army in Belgium. This time, exile was permanent. He was sent to St. Helena, a remote island in the South Atlantic with no road home. He died there in 1821. He was 51 years old. So what do we make of Napoleon Bonaparte? On one side, how he modernized a continent. His legal code outlasted his empire by 200 years. He dismantled feudalism, spread the ideals of the revolution, liberty, equality, the rights of the citizen, to places they had never reached. On the other side, his wars killed an estimated 3.5 million soldiers, millions more civilians. He reinstated slavery in French colonies after the Revolution had abolished it. He placed his own brothers on the thrones of Europe, not by merit. By blood, he was brilliant, he was ruthless, and in the end he was human, brought down by the same arrogance, the same ambition, the same pride that built him. Napoleon once said, "Impossible is a word found only in the dictionary of fools." He proved it. Twice, once on the way up, and once on the way down, for a man who reshaped the laws, borders, and governments of an entire civilization. He could never conquer the one thing that brought him down: himself. So the question is, was Napoleon a true visionary, or just the most dangerous man in a world that wasn't ready for him?